content, information, and opinions expressed during the related show are those of the show personalities and guest alone, and not those of Vic Canellis Media Group, its parent, affiliates, or stations. VCMG Live is not responsible for any content, information, or opinions expressed. User bears full responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. With over 20 years of real estate experience and selling over 150 homes a year, Laura Sanders is the #1 RE/MAX agent in the state of Florida for 2021. Join us each week as we discuss how to make money through buying and flipping homes, to renting versus selling, and everything in between. To join the conversation, call in live. 888-994-4995, Studio A.
Hi, welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Every week we talk about something that will help you make a little money, save a little money, or maybe just help you navigate this crazy world that we live in. Today, I have Michael here. I am not going to try to say his last name, with American Van Lines, and today we're going to talk about what we need to look out for when we're hiring a moving company. Because, you know, I've heard some horror stories, and I have actually been involved in some of those horror stories. So, welcome, Michael.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, when you're hiring a moving company, I know there's some things that you should be looking for. So, one of the things that I first wanted to find out, what is the difference between a broker company and then a carrier company?
Yeah, so that's a great question.
And what are you?
We are a carrier. American Van Lines operates as a carrier. What that means in the industry, how we do things, is we just service the move throughout the entirety of the move. So we don't broker it out, which means we're not working with a third party, we're not working with a subcontractor, there's no one else involved.
That's good.
All our guys are W-2 employees. They work for the company directly. You have the same driver at pickup, same driver at the
so you don't pick them up at Home
destination.
Depot in the morning?
No, exactly, right? So we're not going to go get your day labor at Home Depot or something like that, and someone that's never touched furniture is going to move your $10,000 dining room table, right? They're going to come in, operate professionally, operate through us directly throughout the entirety of the move. Now, when you're dealing with the broker company, you don't know exactly what you're going to get.
So how do you figure out whether or not you're dealing with a carrier company or a broker company?
So a lot of people don't know there's a website called Safer Web. It's run directly.
Spell it.
SAFERWEB.
Okay.
Safer Web.
Okay.
Department of Transportation.
Okay.
So it's everything through the Department of Transportation. No one tells you about it. That's a broker, because they don't want you to look them up, right? They don't want you to see who they are. They don't want you to, they want to be very shady. So what they do is you can go in there, you can go ahead, put in the company that you're getting your estimates from.
Mm-hmm.
I always give all my clients all this information because they
You want
need to
them
be
to know the
exactly.
difference.
I want them to know exactly what's the difference between the two, the discrepancy between the two. It will tell you if they're a carrier. It'll tell you if they're a broker. It'll tell you how many drivers they have. It'll tell you how many employees they have. It'll tell you how many inspections are done on the company. So you can see all that information on this website. So that's a good tool for shippers to use that may not have all the information or tools available to them if they're just on a phone call with a broker company not knowing that they're a broker.
Okay. So speaking about being on the phone, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about taking estimates over the phone? I mean, how do you guys do it?
I don't recommend doing it just because it's not the most efficient way to getting an estimate. Right, we can do an estimate and you could tell me you have a coffee table and it's a 6-foot marble coffee table, and we show up and it's 500 pounds, right? The way we do our estimates is we send in-home estimators to come out to the property. Now that looks is you call into our recorded line, you'll schedule an in-home estimate with me or whoever else through our company. They'll come out, they'll do a visual walkthrough, they'll go room by room with you. As they go room by room with you, they'll explain what furniture needs to be moved, transported, how it needs to be moved. Specific things need to be crated, like marble. A lot of people don't know when you move marble, all has to be crated. Custom crated, wood crated, glass tops as well.
So you shouldn't move it the way I would move it, which is just wrapping a blanket
exactly
around it.
right. You don't want to just put it on a blanket, throw it on the truck, and then it gets broken. And you know that's an insurance thing that we'll talk about a little bit later.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that as well.
Yeah. So We'll get into that a little bit later when it comes to insurance and breakage and things like that. But best way to get your quote is going to be a visual estimate. Phone estimates are completely inaccurate, and they always end up put on
I try
the
to tell that to
shipper.
my customers.
Absolutely. So you want to do a visual estimate as much as you can. A lot of companies have strayed away from it. You can do a virtual through the phone as well. But then again, if you do that, if you're not opening up the cubbies in your drawer, they blame it on you. So you want to try and stay away from that as well.
Okay. Okay. So then I guess the next thing is so now I hire a company, right, to make my move. So the next step would be the contract, right? Once you come out and you say to me, hey, you're going to need 700 boxes, right?
Yeah.
You're going to need this many crates. You're going to need this kind of packaging, X, Y, and Z, based on how many pictures on the wall, TVs, yada, yada, yada. So now you're going to say there's the contract.
There's two different contracts that you can do. There's a non-binding contract, which can be beneficial if you're doing a phone estimate. The reason why non-binding contracts are beneficial for phone estimates is because we can't see what actually needs to be moved and transported. So those quotes are based off of weight. They're based off of cubic feet. Now, when it comes to that, how it benefits the shipper is a non-binding contract protects them from a broker company who can charge them more at the time of pickup. If you were to go ahead, hypothetically speaking, we booked a job for 14,000 pounds. That job comes in, we look, we do a walkthrough, and it's really 17,000 pounds, but it's a non-binding contract. Due to the Department of Transportation, we can only charge you 110% more. What that means is 10% of what the initial price was.
Okay,
so if we quoted you $17,000, we'd only actually be able to charge you $1,700 more onto your contract.
And that's a non-binding.
That's a non-binding.
So what's a binding then?
Binding is based off of the actual inventory. So we come out, we do a walkthrough with you, and we only give binding contracts if we're going to give you a visual walkthrough, because we can guarantee we know what we're moving. The binding.
So I want a binding contract.
You want a binding contract as a shipper. The reason why you want a binding contract as a shipper is because there's no surprises at all.
Okay.
You're not going to have any surprises. Nothing is going to be out of the ordinary with you. There's not going to be any additional fuel charges. There's not going to be any taxes built in later down the road. Or we're not going to load your stuff and say, hey, you owe us $3,000 until we offload your items.
So speaking about loading the stuff, right? So let's just say that I'm moving from Florida to North Carolina. Now, sometimes you'll move people together, right?
Absolutely.
So how do I ensure that my boxes come back to me and I don't end up giving my boxes to somebody else or vice versa?
So the way we do our estimates, which is different than other companies, so the way we load our items is different, is we sticker everything. It gets an inventory number. Every box gets Laura Sanders on the box, and then it's also going to get barcoded and tracked.
Okay.
So we can track it at all times as well. So once it goes onto the truck, each individual shipment gets a piece of plywood between each shipment, so it can be divided up. So there's typically 1 to 2 families additional that's on the truck. So if it's you may have another 2 families on the truck. We do that to cut cost a little bit. Everyone pays a little bit of the fuel. Everyone pays a little bit of the transportation. So instead of paying for the entire truck, which you can do as well, that is another option that people go into. It's something called an exclusive truck option. It's your own truck from point A to point B. That's something that we recommend if you have high-valued artwork, if you have high-valued furniture, or if you have some antiques. If you have antiques, some stuff that can't be replaced, that you bought 18 years, 20 years ago, that is just irreplaceable, we would recommend an exclusive truck option, and that would go
So how
from
much
point
more
A
does
to
that
point B.
typically cost when?
It's really based off of how many more miles you're traveling. If you're going from here to North Carolina, you can see a difference between anywhere between $1,500 to $2,000 for an exclusive to a share truck option, which is not that big of a difference when you think about the big picture of having your own truck. You have the benefits of knowing exactly where the truck is at all times. You have the benefit of knowing the exact delivery date that you want as well. But when you get into the bigger 2 cross-country moves, 2,000, 3,000 miles, you can have a difference between $4,000 to $7,000 from your exclusive truck to your shared truck option.
So when doing the move, right? So recently, it come to my attention that some moving companies will allow you to keep your furniture, your clothing in your drawers. But you and I had a conversation, and you told me that you don't recommend that.
Don't recommend it at all. Because when you tell someone to keep their clothes in the drawers, what happens is they pack all their clothes in the drawer. And when they pack all their clothes in the drawer, and we go to shrink wrap that, and it gets put on its side, or it gets put on its back, or whatever the case may be.
But why wouldn't it be put upright?
So they do it as like Tetris. Whatever is going to fit the best in the truck is going to be packed properly that way. So if they have boxes lined up to where they can fit the dresser on horizontal and it can lay flat to everything, that's how they're going to do it.
But why not put the dressers in first to ensure that you're not, because you're saying the drawers can collapse.
Yeah.
And I would imagine there's something in these contracts that says that, or maybe you don't have it in your contracts because you don't do it.
We don't do it. So we completely void out the possibility of that happening, of your drawers collapsing.
Okay.
Just because we've seen it so much in the past that we just don't have as an option. It's just something that we deal with on the back end, and sadly it falls under an insurance policy in our industry where it doesn't cover much at all. So
if somebody did do that, would it be covered? I mean,
it would not be covered. So it would not be covered in our insurance policy, and 99% of the insurance policies within the moving industry. So what happens is their drawers break, and then when we tell them we're going to give them 10 cents on the dollar, they're not too happy, right? So
yeah, I do. We're going to go to a commercial break, but when we come back, I do want to hear
Yeah.
how does the insurance work? Because honestly,
it's a big thing in the moving industry.
When I moved, and they had scratched my table, and a lot of things had happened, and they charged me more money at the end, and I was like, I'm a realtor, and they really didn't care.
Yep, they don't. Insurance is a big thing in the industry.
Yeah, so we're going to check out our sponsors, and when we be right back, we're going to talk about how this insurance works when it comes to moving. Stay tuned.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fish, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fish is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations. Ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fish today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FIRPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
You have been watching Making Money with Laura. For more information, contact Laura Sanders at 954-650-0827 or visit her website at theloracell.com. And now back to the show.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Today we're talking about moving and what you need to look out for. But before we continue with what to look out for and how these insurances works when it comes to moving, I just want to remind you that I am your local realtor. I do all of Broward, Dade, and the Palm Beaches. And if you're looking for a top agent, definitely give me a call. My name's Laura Sanders with RE/MAX Direct. My number is 954-650-0827. You can also check me out at my website at lauracell.com. Yep. Couldn't afford the S, so it's Laura Sell. Welcome back, Mike. We're talking about moving.
Insurance.
And we're talking about the insurance when moving. First of all, let everyone know, what's a good way for them to reach out to you if they're thinking about moving and they want to get a quote?
So if you're looking to go ahead and get a quote, you can call me on my direct cell. My direct cell is 954-647-8301. You can also call into our main office, 954-630-0316. And then if you're recommended by Laura as well, just
They'll charge
notify
you
the
double.
office. Exactly, right? No,
Just
no,
kidding.
you'll get extra discounts, exactly.
So the end of your phone number is like my lucky numbers.
Exactly, there you go.
Yes, 831, but you're 8301. So
Exact-
now I won't ever
it's
forget
close enough.
that. Wow. So how does the insurance work when it comes to,
So moving insurance, you have two different options. You have your 60 cents per pound per article. Now what that is your standard coverage. That's through to the Department of Transportation. Every moving company that does intrastate moves, out-of-state moves, that does local moves, has to give this to you as the carrier or broker. The brokers even have to give this to you as well. Now what it is
I bet you it's hard to collect though.
it's probably really hard to collect, I'll be honest with you. But your 60 cents per pound per article is not much at all. So if your sofa weighs 400 pounds,
Okay.
you're going to get 60 cents on the poundage. So at 400 pounds, you're really only going to get a payout of probably $200 on your sofa, even though your sofa cost you $10,000. And that's if you elect for the 60 cents per pound per
And
article.
what's the other choices to elect?
Your other option is your full coverage valuation.
What does that cost?
So that is a premium, okay? It all depends on how big of your shipment is. The way it goes is if you have a 10,000 pound shipment, we take that, we times it by 10, we'll value your items at $100,000. You have four different options. You can pick from a $0, a $250, a $500, or a $1,000 deductible, and your policy price changes. Now, what people don't know and what people don't understand is when you do your valuation, you're only covered for what the company packs. So if you pack up all your boxes and you elect full coverage valuation, you're not covered.
So why would you elect that? And I bet you
would
people
elect-
do, right? And you don't tell, so nobody tells them this?
We tell them this. Other companies don't tell them this. So if you pack all your boxes and you elect for full coverage valuation, how can we prove that you didn't break half of your stuff before it got put into the box? There's no way to prove it, right?
Okay.
So your entire shipment could be smashed before it even goes onto the truck, and then when it comes off, you can elect for a deductible, and we'd have to pay you out whatever your policy is of $100 or $150, whatever it may be.
Okay.
So the way we do it as a carrier is we have to do the entire box packing of the house for you to actually make sense of you getting your full coverage valuation. It makes no sense to buy the full coverage valuation if you're not getting a packing service. Now, if you get a packing service,
And what does that cost?
that can vary from house to house. I mean, it all depends. That's why you want someone to come out and do a visual walkthrough with you. Because if you're doing a phone estimate and you're trying to get a packing service, it's almost impossible.
Yeah, you don't like the way I pack, trust me. It's horrible. I'm bad.
They'll come out, we'll do a visual estimate with you. We'll put together all your boxes, how many estimated boxes we're thinking that it's going to take us to pack. Now, we always do a little bit of an overestimation just to
Okay.
cover you, because you only pay for the actual packing done by the company. So if we estimate 200 boxes and we only pack 150, you're only going to pay for those 150 boxes to be packed and
Yeah,
transported.
but how do you determine like a big box and a small box? I mean,
So it's all based off of experience. All our guys have been vetted, trained. They've gone through the training process. We have a training station actually at our main warehouse that they go through.
How to pack. It's like working at Publix, right?
Exactly. You
How
got
to
to pack
right?
the bag and you got to load it and you got to move it. So same thing. They go through a training
Bend
vetting
from the
process.
knees. No, I'm
Exactly. They go through a vetting process, and then that vetting process before they get out to the actual field, just so they know exactly what they're looking at and
So
what
you don't
box
send
to
people
use.
like prior to like.
No, they will go through the vetting process before they even go out
I mean,
to the
like
house.
people will come out to move you, like maybe 2 days before they'll start packing you.
They do come out before the load date.
Okay.
Not everything could be done in one day. right? There's time restrictions as well. There's so much to talk about, but there's time restrictions in the Department of Transportation where we can only work X amount of hours a day. We're looking at 10 hours a day. You can't pack, load, and start moving someone in 10 hours, depending on the size of the move.
Now let's say
Let
when
me rechange
I
that.
moved the last time, it was 12 o'clock at night and they were still at my house and they showed
They
up at
should
9.
have not been there. You should have kicked them out. Should have gave them the broom and broomed them out. But
Oh no, I was tired by that time.
yeah, we will send crews out.
They put my armoire upside down.
Who'd you go with?
I can't tell you that right now.
But in regards to the actual packing process, we'll send a crew out 2 days prior, depending on how much packing actually needs to get
Just out
done.
of curiosity, right? Let's say a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath house, right? Mm-hmm. Not a hoarder house.
Okay.
Not hoarder, but average. What would something like that cost just to pack? Forget about the move. Just to pack. Just an
the
idea.
packing. I mean, if you have standard kitchenware, you're not excessive on your china, things like that,
Right.
because those are the most expensive things to pack.
I think a lot of people, younger people, don't have china today.
I mean,
they just have regular dishes.
That varies between, I want to say about $1,700 to, on the high side, $3,000.
I say it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to tell you, I don't listen. I know you probably don't want to pack anybody's like private stuff, but you know,
could
I'm sure
only
there's
imagine what I've packed and
I
moved and
bet.
transported.
But I think I have to say it's a backbreaking, and I have to say for $3,000 to not pack your whole house, pack the kitchen, pack it all, take it all
We'll
out.
pack the kitchen. We'll pack everything in the house, as long as you're not a hoarder. Then it goes up from there. But
I think it's. I have to tell you, like I think it's worth it.
yeah, I recommend it to most people. And as I was saying, if you're going to do the full coverage valuation, you might as well get the packing as well.
Now, what is a full? So okay, let's say on something like that, what would a full coverage valuation look like?
So, depending on it, all varies on the size of the move. But for this purpose, let's say we're moving 10,000
And this is obviously
Yeah,
just
from
giving kind of an idea to people, because listen, people. Sometimes I hear what movers tell people, and I'm like, I just don't know what's right and what's not.
Yeah,
But I
it's
don't know what's
very hard.
discussed. Yeah.
So if you're going to go ahead and elect for the full coverage valuation, those policies vary between, on the higher side, if you're moving the biggest house you can possibly move, 7 bedrooms, it's going to be a full truck. That policy's $2,000 for that, but that's covering you up to $250,000 worth of coverage. On your lower end, those policies can go as low as $500, $600, and those will cover you up to $30,000, $40,000 worth of coverage.
Okay, that sounds fair to me.
But it makes no sense to do if you're not going to actually get the packing service. If you don't get the packing service,
This is all good
don't
information,
do it.
and then it helps me to ask questions when
Of
people
course.
are hiring people. Hey, what did you elect to do? Because I didn't even know that these were options. And by the way, I've moved.
Yep. And by the way, if you don't actually elect any insurance on your contract, because you cannot, let's say we pick you up and you don't
Well,
sign
they're more
your
likely to drop
evaluation.
your stuff.
Well, due to the Department of Transportation, you're already electing for full coverage valuation. If you don't sign off on the 60 cents per pound waiving full coverage, you have that already built into your move.
What's already built in?
Your full coverage
Okay.
policy. So if you don't sign off on 60 cents saying, oh, this is the insurance I want, you get full coverage
And then you're
valuation.
going to get billed for it.
You get billed at the end.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's the thing. You
Okay.
get billed at the delivery
Well,
destination.
believe it or not, we've run out of time. Was that not quick?
That was
So,
quick.
Please let everybody know again, what's a good way to get a hold of you?
So just direct cell phone is the best way, 954-647-8301. You let me know you listen to the show, or we'll give
And
you
you give
some
a
additional
discount.
discounts on
All right,
that.
awesome. And I want to thank you so much for coming out tonight,
Thank you for
because
having
moving
me.
is something that I think is scary, and I hope I don't have to do it anytime soon, but I'll definitely be giving you a call. And again, my name's Laura Sanders with RE/MAX Direct, and you can always reach me at 954-650-0827, and make it a great night. Thanks.
Thank you for tuning in for Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. To join the conversation, call us at the studio, 888-994-4995 Studio A, or contact Laura directly at 954-650-0827. Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. We look forward to seeing you